Good morning, internets, and welcome back to the reading of the Master List of Logical Fallacies with Bryce Barnett, Alan Muliger, and Sarah Leff. And today we are on number 121, the slippery slope.
Slippery slop.
Yes.
121, the slippery slippe. Also the domino theory. The common fallacy that one thing inevitably leads to another. Example, if you two go and drink coffee together, one thing will lead to another, and next thing you'll know, you'll be pregnant and end up spending your life on welfare living in the projects. Or if we close Gitmo, one thing will lead to another before you know it. Armed terrorists will be strolling through our church doors and with suicide belts, proud as you please, smack in the middle of the 10:30 a.m. Sunday worship service right here in Garfield, Kansas. This is hilarious. I love this. Um, I've never used this one personally. I have, however, I have heard it used. I believe my I believe my mom has used this one with me, but not directly. I've never, I've never heard this one used directly, but the similar concept of someone implying, very similar to actions have consequences, um, implying like one thing leads to another. Like for me, the way it was given to me as a kid was like, if you do this, and it's like usually a facial expression and a leaning in, and then that's instead of saying out loud one thing leads to another, there's like a face of like one thing leads to another. So that's how it's been for me, at least growing up. That was how this one was used the most, was a silent implication that one thing leads to another, but we're not going to say it directly. You just need to guess what we're getting at when we say that, is the biggest way that I received this growing up.
Yeah. Yeah. So slippery slope. Um, it is important to point out that it's only a slippery slope fallacy if the conclusion of what comes next does not evidently mean that. So, um, when there is an assumption involved, that is when it is a fallacy. Um, but if
Yeah.
it comes from if enough people elect this president, then that president will end up
The
going into
pre-
office.
yeah.
Like that's not a slippery slope because that follows from the premise.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But if you don't if you don't wash your hands after you go to the bathroom, one thing will lead to another, and we're gonna have a lizard as the president of planet Mars.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh you could take it as extreme as that. One that I heard that was dangerous was when we were arguing about whether or not gay people should be allowed to get married in the early
Oh,
2010s.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that one was like, I heard from multiple people that it's like, well, if you allow gay people to get married, one thing's going to lead to another. And then next thing you know, pedophilia is going to be completely legal. And it's like, where are you making that jump? And that's the assumption that they're just like, well, if one thing that I feel uncomfortable with becomes legal, then everything I'm uncomfortable with becomes legal. And sometimes it's such a just outrageous assumption that it's hard to respond to it. And because so many people don't weren't able to voice like that doesn't follow, they just respond with yes, it does. And it's like no, where like what's the next connection? It doesn't follow. So that would be slippery slope, and I've seen that used dangerously. um I'm really trying to think if I've ever used it for anything. Yeah, any other thoughts, you guys?
Not for me. This is pretty straightforward.
Yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward too.
Okay, very well. I really want to think of an example that I've done where
That one felt like a really solid one that you brought up, though. I forgot about that, but I remember that was a definite thing.
you heard that one too.
Yeah, yeah. We grew up in the same area, same political spectrum area.
Hmm.
Like yeah. So it's like it was. I remember that being talked about. I remember that being a topic of discussion and people having those types of reactions to it.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I really want to one. I don't know what it would be, but I'm sure at some point I've done this fallacy with something.
Mhm.
Um, and I think it's just important that whatever you assume to be the case, uh, of one action leading to a particular consequence, um, really make sure that you follow the logic along each of those steps rather than just like, I don't want this bad thing to happen. And if this semi-bad thing happens, then it may, or not may, actually, if you say might lead to it, then that's fine. But the fallacy is saying like it will happen. Like that thing is inevitable, is going to happen if you allow this one thing to happen. Um, I'm sure I've done that with something. I yeah.
I've definitely behaved that way. So like early, I've behaved in ways where like I would be afraid of someone or some like I'd be afraid of someone being allowed to do something because if they did something, then it would lead to some awful consequence down the road. So there would be times where I wouldn't say it out loud, like if one thing leads to another, but it'd be like if I allow this type of question to be asked or this action to be gone through with, then it will lead to a breakdown of this, a breakdown of that. This won't work. It won't be a tight ship or whatever, something of that nature. Like I'm thinking of in vector, like in trainings, like if you let one person not be making phone calls during day two of training, then no one makes phone calls. So it's like if one person's not doing it, you have them leave the room or whatever. So like it would be like I remember acting that way because then the slippery slope is in the mind is if one person doesn't make phone calls in training, then no one will. If no one makes calls in training, then no one shows up to day three. If no one shows up to day three, there's no money and you wasted all of your time. So it's like, that type of thing. I've definitely behaved that way, but I haven't explicitly said to someone the slippery slope. Oh, well, maybe in that same scenario, if I was training new branch managers, I might have told them that same example. Now that I think about it,
Yeah, I think that one is it's a version of the slippery slope that can be helpful. Because I mean I'm leading a big group right now, and so I will say um like, hey, anyone new that joins, make sure you get them to the meeting, because if they don't come to the meeting, then you might as well like treat them as if they're never going to do anything productive.
yeah,
Um, and so the slippery slope is that you're automatically assuming that they will not be productive always, but it's mostly correct.
yeah,
There are definitely some outliers that are productive without ever going to a meeting. But we've seen significant evidence to show that uh, I'm going to say like 9 times out of 10, if somebody goes to a meeting, then they stick around for a very long time and are significantly more productive.
yeah,
Um, and so in that case, it's true that it's not always the case. But it's good to act like it is because it's more productive that way.
yeah.
So there you go. We found one. We found one. Um, Alan, does any part of you feel like if you uh play a moderate amount of video games that you're gonna slippery slope into a lazy slob?
Absolutely. I have no I have no self-control. No self-control.
I
That's just
don't think you have no self-control. You
I
have
have
zero self-control. I don't believe you.
oh man, it's like there's a couple things that I just notice. I'm working on it as a personality trait or a tendency of my behavior. I'm noticing that there are, um, and I'm still trying to figure out exactly what it is and how to combat it. I've just noticed that when something has a significant dopaminergic payoff, I just will like zero in on that thing and it'll like it consumes my consciousness, whatever that is. If it's coffee, I'll get into coffee so intensely to the point where I have headaches constantly and I'm like, why did I do this? And it's like, well, because I get this buzz and I'm like, ugh. So it's like it happens that way. So video games to me, it's a huge amount of dopamine for my system, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I just get so drawn in, and it's like the amount of times that an hour becomes completely unsatisfactory, and it must be 8 hours straight. It's like no one could stop me. Like once it's happening. Even if you were to like, Alan, that's enough. I'm like, no, 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 no. This is totally fine. I want to build this house because it matters to me. And like, I would just be so despondent on
When
a
when I came over and I woke up to you playing Minecraft on my Switch, you didn't even ask. Like
no.
you just turned on my Switch too, and it was like, "Yep, it's Minecraft time." And just like the whole day was him building this shitty house.
The whole day, it was a tiny fucking house. And it's like, what's funny to me is if anybody else did that, like had that much time to play Minecraft, I feel like they'd have built at least some type of a mansion at that point. I just made this tiny little shitty house with an underground exit that was not concealed at all. That I was like, look, it's concealed. And Bryce is like, that's not concealed. It's very
That's more
obvious.
of an entrance. Like the entrance is bigger than the rest of the house.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. And so I was like, yeah, for me it's video games for me and it's in video games it's one expression. But I've also like with any type of I've just noticed I gamble so as a kid I was taught how to play cards at 12 years old and how to gamble and whatnot. So like the mental framework in my head of like massive payoffs and like wanting massive payoffs it's in there. It's like in my circuitry of my brain, and it's gotten me into a lot of trouble in my adult life. Not because I've gambled, in casinos and whatnot, or poker or whatever, but in the personal development industry where I've invested tens of thousands of dollars in programs because there was this promise that it was going to deliver this huge payoff of me being able to make this and make that and do this and do that. I have had a pattern of buying into that without even questioning it. And I'm like, oh man, so I'm in the process of rewiring all that. So maybe one day it won't be that way with video games. However, like it's a thing in my brain that I'll see like a Halo I'll see a Halo thing come up on my phone through my Instagram algorithm of someone playing OG Halo 3 and I'm just like I could do that for 12 hours straight.
Yeah.
It's insane.
I would I would love to help you in that because I've seen it with me. I've seen it with Sarah. I've seen it with multiple people. Where I think video games are very important, not just in storytelling. Storytelling is wonderful, but the puzzle solving aspect and challenging your brain to do something that is not your daily activity, but still it's something that's new that your brain doesn't do on a day-to-day basis. And I really from the evidence I've seen, it significantly improves your brain power. Um, just doing things that are not the same fucking thing every day, like a robot. Going to work, doing this, and doing that. Um, so when I grew up without any video game consoles. We had a computer that was a like an old 90s computer that couldn't run anything. Um, and my mom bought me Jimmy Neutron Boy Genius, the video game, on PC. But the PC that we had was too shit to run it. So every time I would visit my grandparents up in Wisconsin, um, they had a just enough powerful computer to run that game. And so all I did was play that game the entire time, 100%, because my brain was so uh devoid of that sensation of trying new puzzles, trying to figure things out. And because that was suppressed for so long, that's all I could do to get that hit. And it wasn't until that I like bought my own console, um, and I think especially nowadays, that I kind of like do it for work. I mean, I get paid to do it for YouTube. Um, Now I like will not play anything more than like an hour. I try to limit it to like a half hour to 45 minutes a day on
Wow.
average. So
Mm,
that's typical. Is about a half hour, 45 minutes a day. And uh and even that now still feels like that's a lot. Um but but because I've been able to manage it and put it into my schedule, um it's been something that I can still challenge my brain every day and do new tasks and new puzzles. And I think it's really healthy because of that. And then I could say a similar story with Sarah, because when Sarah first started video games, um there was a moment where it clicked for you, and then you were playing like 8 hours a day of like Zelda Breath of the Wild. And then but you've done it every day to the point where you're like, now I kind of only want to do it for like an hour a day, kind of a thing, right? So the evidence to me is showing that everything within moderation is important. And now I don't crave to do it. It's just it's a little thing. It's like watching a video on my phone or whatever activity you want to do. As long as you know you're challenging your brain, it doesn't have to be a video game. For a lot of people, it's reading. You know, for a lot of people, it's doing something else. So it doesn't have to be a video game. But I do think for people that enjoy video games, if you enjoy the thing, I don't think that you should suppress it. I think it's a slippery slope to say that uh, too much of one thing you enjoy is somehow bad. I guess, but um, if you put it within moderation, I think there's a healthy way that you can consume it. And it sounds like Sarah agrees. I'd love to hear Sarah's thoughts on this, because video games are a fairly new experience for her. And it's been, I think, like just about a year since you've started. Like you never played a video game before to now. How how has your experience been?
Yeah, like when I first started, yeah, I was putting in like hours upon hours of stuff, or of gaming. And now I'm like, no, I need to limit myself to like I try to do an hour, but if I'm hosting an event, like my Wednesday event,
Yeah.
it goes to like 2, 3 hours sometimes.
Well, I think it's
Um,
a little different because you're putting on like a performance for
yeah,
a bunch of people.
yeah. But if I'm just doing it for myself, I try to keep it to like an hour and a half max.
Hmm.
Sometimes it doesn't always work out because I'm like so into it, and then like I end my stream and I'm like, I did that for 3 hours. It felt like I was doing it for an hour. Like that's crazy. But yeah, no, I right now I'm playing Grand Theft Auto, which is that's a whole learning curve in and of itself
great game.
for someone who has trauma from driving. Um,
But
yeah,
you're getting better at driving,
yeah,
surprisingly.
yeah, yeah. Um, Yeah, but the game is like, okay, so first you gotta drive, and then we're gonna teach you how to drive and shoot at the same time, and then we're gonna just randomly introduce flying an airplane in in the middle of the game, and I'm like, great, okay. So there's been a few times I've had to like ask Bryce to help me because I'm like, I'm losing my mind. Like, but yeah,
And for each mission in story-based games, I've found that like the game developers typically design the game so that each mission will be about a half hour to 45 minutes anyways. So like I feel complete starting a game, doing one mission, setting it down, and then be done.
yeah,
And yeah, so I've talked with Alan a lot about video games because I know it's something that he loves and but also something that he wants to stay away from at the same time, and it goes back and forth. And I would love to help him find a healthy way to incorporate that.
Yeah, maybe at some point.
Maybe at some point. Very good. Awesome. Well, I'm glad we found some slippery slope examples. That's
Yeah,
great.
I love that you brought in the video games. It's perfect.
Yes. Awesome.